Will the market go up or down? Should you lock in or float? Find out this and more with Master of the Markets, hosted by Barry Habib of MBS Highway. Brought to you by Paramount Residential Mortgage Group.
Welcome to Master of the Markets. I'm Barry Habib at MBS Highway, created exclusively for an MPTV. That's brought to you by our friends at PRMG, working for your best interest. A very volatile week last week, and this week also is going to be action-packed. We're going to get appreciation data this week. We're also going to get some data on real estate, seeing the health of that market, which has been on fire. And we're also this week going to be getting inflation data. That's going to be something that we'll be watching closely because the Fed, playing a major role in the direction of the markets, we'll be watching. We're hearing a lot of Fed speak, and maybe there's going to be more aggressive rate hikes. That'd actually be good for mortgage bonds. But the thing that we're hearing more and more about, something I've been talking to you about for a long time, is will they allow that balance sheet to run off more aggressively? All those mortgage holdings that they have, will they allow those holdings to be reduced or even sell them? That could cause a lot of turbulence and problems in the mortgage market. Now, currently, that 10-year Treasury, important ceiling at 205, otherwise we're going to 214 if we break above it. And mortgage bonds from where they are now, there's a floor underneath present levels, about 20 basis points or so. But if we break beneath that, we could see another 70 basis point loss. It was threatened last week a couple of times because of the volatility that we're seeing. Home sales were great. We got existing home sales last week, and the numbers are just astounding. Inventory, where is it? It was already super low at 910,000 units. That dropped another 50,000. So we're seeing 860,000 units for sale, lowest we can imagine. Boy, back in 2007, during the bubble times, if you want to compare to that, it was 3.7 million units for sale. So a lot more population, a lot more households, but almost 3 million fewer units for sale. How can you have a bubble? And the big driver last week, a lot of the volatility was Russia. So 130,000 Russian troops amassed at the Ukrainian border. And President Putin perhaps maybe just threatening an attack, maybe has in mind an attack. For a long time, Ukraine has wanted to get into NATO. Now, if you're part of NATO, then an attack on one nation constitutes an attack on all. So you can imagine why Ukraine would want this. Ukraine is also rich in many natural resources and exports these around the world. So this could have very big implications. Russia would like the request from Ukraine to be part of NATO to be pushed back. So is this just threatening to attack? Do they really have in mind an attack? It's tough to understand exactly what's going through the mind of Mr. Putin. But what we want to highlight here is that think about how the markets reacted. As the threat of this became more imminent, and in fact, what they said last Wednesday was Ukraine gave everybody a holiday so they could defend themselves because it was thought that Russia would attack. On the thoughts of that or those announcements, the stock market did poorly, cryptocurrencies did poorly, and the money flooded into the bond market, and bonds did well as a flight to safety. But then it was talked about where Russia may be open to diplomatic resolutions or some troops might be pulling back from the border. Well, then that trade unwound and mortgage bonds had a tough time. We had the Fed minutes last week too, and typically something that we would get some negativity in the bond market because the Fed tends to talk tough behind the scenes when they have their meetings, and then 3 weeks later when they're released, we hear that, it scares the market. On fears of that, the market did poorly, but the actual release was not as scary. Now, things can change here. This is a very volatile time, and that's why you need to stay on top of this with MBS Highway so you can navigate these waters. And also, we can help you if your refinances are slower and the MBA says they're off by 53%. We will help you improve your refinances, build new purchase relationships with real estate agents and others, as well as close more of those opportunities. Get on MBS Highway. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
PRMG continues to provide our wholesale partners across the nation with better technology, better product, better pricing, and better service. Our nationally recognized brand is more than just an image. It is a symbol of integrity. PRMG, built by originators for originators. Be sure to click on the link below for your free 30-day MBS Highway trial.